And we are live. I'm pretty sure everybody knows exactly what day it is. It is hashtag Friday Pie Day. I appreciate everybody for showing up. We'll smash through the comments in just a second. We've got a couple of updates on a rug pull that I talked about previously. There was a very infamous one. I think they kind of copied some of our stuff, like our logo, our name, things of that sort, that I had a storied history of calling them out on. They were y- expert traders, remember? And so we've got an update on that, which is actually quite comical, the update. And then there's a massive update on Project 79, Hydro Whales, Burl Core, Sahara Star, Ocean Money, all their whole ecosystem is like there's a massive update on that. Like, dude, it's pretty wild. And I know I don't like, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. But before we do, I appreciate everybody for showing up. We'll get into those updates on those couple of like rug pulls, or as they're classifying, one of them might be a slow rug. We'll get into all the Project 79 Hydro Whales Burl Core ecosystem stuff soon. And then we'll talk about the one that we know was a rug pull that I had a pretty storied history of calling out. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before we do, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. Boom! Bang on that notification bell. Comment anything that you want in the relevant sections. This is the first of 2 times that you will see me if you choose to. So that's just today, right? First of 2 times that you will see me today, if you choose to, because I got another stream coming up at like an hour and a half where I'm going to be doing TA and kind of pointing out key levels. A follow-up stream to yesterday. Obviously, we're going to continue doing this. Like, most weekdays we'll try to do this to keep people updated, keep their pulse on the market, things of that sort. And then we'll talk a little bit more about Wolfer, and we will also talk about where I think the market is going and why it's going there right now. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. If you clicked this video because the thumbnail or the title intrigued you, I will not disappoint you. Okay. So I'm seeing, okay, let's talk about the first things first. S&P, right? The S&P, and there's a reason why we're talking about the S&P, so don't get mad at me because like crypto, we want to talk about crypto. Well, crypto follows the S&P. As much as we want to think that it doesn't, it is coupled with it as of this point until we get past and decouple. It is going to be relevant to talk about the global market, right? So the S&P got rejected at like 6,100, right? And it's had a little fall, and every single day it almost like trends up in the morning and then bam, it loses all its gain, right? So I actually took a short on the S&P. I made a couple of bucks on it. It was not anything to like, phone home about, like ET phone home. It wasn't anything to brag about. I probably made like 50 bucks, 100 bucks or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the S&P is kind of like trending downwards right now, right? And there's a reason why I think this is happening, okay? And that's why I made the thumbnail and title that I made for this video, because I do think that it's relevant and I do think that it's pertinent, but it does have a timestamp on it, which is the good news. And that timestamp is within the next 3 weeks. Okay. So that's the good news for everybody that's worrying about crypto going down or worrying about the markets going down, maybe your 401k, whatever it may be. You're worrying about that. Okay. There is a proverbial light at the end of that tunnel. All right. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But I truly think, okay, this is just my opinion. Okay. And let me see if I actually have the charts I'm going to exit out of the Discord too, because nobody's in it. And that will save me from having a bad stream where like my tabs, if I have too many tabs open, basically my streams will get messed up. Right. So anyways, let me see if I can go to TradingView and I'll pull up the S&P chart and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about and why I shorted the S&P. And if you just give me 1 second, I forgot that I was going to talk to P, so I just got to pull up my template, which is boom right here. Bam, S load layout, boom, SPY. All right, cool. We are good to go on that. All right, so here's kind of what I was talking about with the S&P. If you look at my chart, you'll kind of see it'll look a little crazy at first, but you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second, right? So Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll make a baby Drew. All right, baby Drew down in the corner. All right, cool. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about with the S&P, right? All right, so there. First off, there's a gap right here. Okay, if we look at this, there's a gap. All right, and I'm gonna zoom in on the chart so that you can see it because we don't need to see all the RSI and the stochastics and stuff like that for this analysis, right? So there is a massive gap right here, right? All the way down to about 57.83, right? So the S&P hit a nice little bam, just nasty, nasty. And then it tried to get the gains back, but it couldn't. So it set a lower high right here. And then bam, set another lower low right here. Just barely, but it did, right? It just barely set it, but it did. Here, I'll even zoom in on it so you can see what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so here's the lower high, lower low, lower high, and then a lower low. You can kind of follow that little gray dots, over. Okay, so this is going to absolutely 100% affect the cryptocurrencies global markets, right? The United States S&P is going to obviously affect that. So let's go to the 1-day chart and I'll show you exactly why I was like shorting here, right? Okay. Zoom out a little bit, zoom out a little bit, boom. All right, so this is like a trend line, right? That we started from this bottom and then we regained it, right? We were kind of riding up above it. Then we came down here, fell below it. We regained it here, but then we fell again. Bang, 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 hit it 3, 4 times right here. And then we ultimately fell. And that's why I was thinking, okay, right around the $6,100 mark on the S&P is kind of where you're going to be wanting to short. And it almost hit it like to the penny, like it is like $5 over, right? And honestly, then there was a secondary resistance here, right here at about 61.83 that we didn't necessarily think that we were going to get to, right? So, okay, here's my point, right? Because I don't want to bore people too terribly much with all the nuanced stuff that we're talking, right? My point to this is that there is kind of like, if you're Trump, okay, and say what you want about like politics and things of that sort, right? And like the powers that be, controlling the markets and stuff like that. If you believe in it, if you don't believe in it, it is what it is. Like I'm not here to sway you on whether there's people that like control the markets or don't or whatever, but I think we can all agree that there's billions and trillions of dollars that control these global markets, right? Because that's where we derive the liquidity in said markets from, right? So put it like this. If you are Trump, okay, and you just came in and you, in your past presidency, one of the best economies in the history of America was one of the things that bolstered your ability to come in and run for a secondary presidential race this year and the previous election year back in 2020, right? If you're Trump and you exited essentially with almost all-time highs on the markets, right? With a strong economy for the most part, right? And then the market keeps running up, okay? And now the market is at all-time highs when you're going to be taking office, okay? Do you think that that bodes well for him? Where do we have to go if you're Trump, but up, right? If you're at all-time highs, do you want to take office when the S&P, the Dow Jones, crypto, and all that stuff is sitting at all-time highs? You don't, because that literally gives you nowhere to go. That means that if the market drops even a little bit, you don't look good over your next 4 years, right? And unless you finish your 4 years with new all-time highs, or at least above where the market started, you don't look good, right? So that's why I think, in my opinion, we're seeing a little bit of a fade, right? On crypto, on the S&P, on the global markets, and I think we will continue to see that a little bit. I'm not saying the S&P is going to go to, $5,000, right? I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to go to 50 grand, right? I think Bitcoin could potentially go to maybe 80, 81. And if you watched my live stream yesterday on doing the live Bitcoin technical analysis, and if you show up to the one that's at 2:30 today, you'll see why I think that. Why I think that 80, 81K could be the catch point. Worst case scenario, 74, 75, maybe, right? But it bodes better for Trump if he comes in when things aren't at their all-time highs. So I would not expect all-time highs on Bitcoin within the next 21 days, right? Trump takes his inauguration, I think it's the 20th, right? 17 days from now. I would expect that we get up to 100K, which is where they pulled an epic bull trap up there from the 100 to 107.5 level. That was an epic bull trap, and then they just murdered everybody on the way down to 91, 92, right? I would see resistance up at the 90 some 99 9-ish region. And if you want to know why, show up to my 2:30 stream or go back and watch my stream from yesterday where I literally showed everybody why I think 99.9 is a really critical level that when we tap it, we're either going to hit it hard and fall, or we need to blast through it with conviction, right? And I mean, with conviction means we need to blast through 99.9 and go to like 101, 102, 103, right? And continue upwards so that we can start to trend up towards that new all-time high at like 109 is where, I'm seeing the trend channel having the most resistance up at the 109 area. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of, pretty decent sized resistance at the previous all-time high, which is like 107.5, 107.8, something like that. I did short up there. I am in a long trade right now. My long trade on Bitcoin, my take profit is like just shy of 99.9, right? Because you're going to see 100K is a psychological level. There's a Fibonacci that lines up with it. There's a previous swing high that lines up with it. There's trend lines that line up with it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Show up to the streams if you happen to give a F about TA. We're going to talk about some crazy stuff really quick. I want to show you some crazy stuff. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah. Check this out. Let me get me out of the way. Where is baby Drew? All right, cool. Let's just move him over here. All right, so if anybody remembers back, like it was like a year ago, almost like exactly a year ago, I think it was like August of 2023, I was absolutely slamming these guys, Wolf Capital, right? If you go to TulsaWorld.com, I can't show you it on TulsaWorld.com. Why? Because they gate it. They gate it. So the best you're going to get is if you go to Tulsa World's Facebook page. Wolf Capital CEO, crypto CEO Travis Ford, 35, allegedly promised annual returns of about 547% before shutting down and telling 2,800 investors he lost all of their money, according to federal prosecutors, right? So let's read this article. I don't like to, me, I don't really like to read stuff to people, but I think this is relevant, right? Federal prosecutors have charged an Oklahoma man with conspiracy to commit wire fraud in connection with a failed crypto investment that promised backers annual returns of up to 547%. A summons was issued Tuesday for Travis Ford's December 19th initial appearance in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Oklahoma, according to court records. As co-founder, CEO, and head expert trader. I threw that in there. That's not a direct quote, but that's what he said. I'm an expert trader, man. Of Wolf Capital Crypto Trading LLC, Ford is alleged to have raised about $9.4 million from 2,800 investors over an 8-month period beginning in January of 2023, dating all the way up to about September, October of 2023. This is when I was smashing them, man. I was smashing them from August, September, October, November. Everybody was like, oh, no, he's not. This guy's, he's super smart. He's a genius. And then everybody lost all their money. Okay. The felony charge alleges that Ford and unnamed co-conspirators, which is that one dude from Bulgaria, I forget what his name was, OX something, some anonymous dude, and that's why he stayed anonymous, because he already knew what time it was, probably. used a website and social media to fraudulently induce investors to send funds to Wolf Capital through materially false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises. The promises included telling investors they could earn up to 1% to 2% per day, blah, blah, blah. Ford and his co-conspirators are all alleged to have frequently accessed Wolf Capital's funds and trading accounts holding investors' funds to misappropriate and divert Wolf Capital investor funds for their own benefit and detriment of Wolf Capital investors. Here's the good news for people. Even though they're never going to recover any of that money because it's gone. He literally lost it all trading. He's, took some of it. The team took 10% of it, no matter what. Ford is alleged to have falsely publicly stated on July 6, 2023, that everything is safe and I will prove it in the morning to stop all the FUD. And it's just simple math at this point. In addition to facing the felony charges, prosecutors are also seeking a monetary judgment of at least $1,039,128 from Ford, which is the amount that he is alleged to have obtained through his illegal means. Ford could not be reached for comment. Imagine that. Right now, you can go and check this out. This is on Tulsa, whatever, on their page or whatever it is, Tulsa World. You can go and see it on their Facebook page, or you can just, pause this video, screenshot it, whatever you want to do, because they do gate it, which is super frustrating to me. Like whenever I search it on Google, if you do this, let me see. Let me make sure that I'm on the thing. Yeah, I am. They gate it, man. They want you to pay $1. I'm not paying $1 to hear about this idiot that I wrecked for 6 months straight. I know all the facts, man. I said this stuff a long time ago. Here's another one. I just got sent this in the Discord, so Paul D's a legend, or whoever sent it to me. I appreciate you. I'm pretty sure it was Paul D, though. So Traverse Legal launches investigation into, drumroll please, and super surprising, I know, Project 79 Hydro Whales NFT collection, Burl Core Mining, Ocean Money, GSP, and Sahara Star Mining, and related projects. Wow. Can't say that I'm surprised there. So yeah, this one's pretty bad. You can go and check this one out yourself. It's on traverselegal.com/blog/project_79_gold, right? I'm going to read just like a couple of the things. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it actually is quite lengthy and I don't really want to spend that much time on it. Update on Burl Core. They are asking for more money. Surprise, surprise. They are asking for more money so they can get the mine operational. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want to do, right? But as you can see, there's clearly enough people that are not happy with Project 79, Hydro Whales, Burl Core, all of that they have sought out legal advice and legal representation. Okay, so this literally just came out like yesterday. So yeah, just so you guys know, like that's what's happening with Burl Core right now. They are being investigated by these people publicly now, right? And there's actually another massive, like even bigger than Burl Core, that's being investigated that I'm not at liberty to discuss. I was actually reached out to by a law firm, and it's the same law firm that's handling the Hawktua meme coin thing. And they were like, hey, we saw your video on X project, right? I won't say who they are because I'm not going to tip them off. And I know another thing that behind the scenes about this project of some other, a little bit more alarming, we'll call it, entity that is investigating them. But yeah, I know about that. I'll let you know if I can release any information on it, but it is something that I've posted on my channel, and it is a pretty massive one. We're talking tens of millions of dollars. Okay, so here's what they said. We continue to seek information from anyone involved with Project 79, Hydro Whales, Burl Core, blah, 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 blah. If you have any details regarding handling of funds, contractual agreements, or internal communications, don't hesitate to contact us. So let me ask you this. Is it all starting to make sense now? Why Burl Core is making you sign an NDA in order to get any information from them, even on your refund that if you were a person that requested a refund, which they blew the terms of that because they were supposed to have your refund to you within 90 days of you signing it. They never, most people, at least from what I've heard, this is just what I've heard, have not received back a countersigned letter of their refund agreement. And now Burl Corps is asking for more money. I think it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And people are doing it. That's the craziest part. People are like, yeah, you've got all my money. Here's more. And they're asking for more money to get the mine operational because apparently they haven't found a suitor to fund that or buy them out or whatever, right? And that's your first red flag is they can't find somebody to come in with even $1 million to try to help handle some of the refunds and get the mine operational. So they're asking a bunch of retail investors with $200, $1,000, unknowing participants that are already in their community to basically fund it, right? So there's a red flag in and of itself, in my opinion, right? Secondarily, now they're being investigated. So, like, is it all starting to make sense why they went silent for a while? They probably knew that this was happening in the background. I would assume that they would have assumed that this is happening in the background. Secondarily, is it, does it make a little bit more sense now as to why they're saying, oh, yeah, we can't give you any information. You need to get in this NDA chat and blah, 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 so that you can't go out and say anything about this, right? So I would be careful signing any NDAs. Like NDAs, I don't know, man. I don't like them. So basically Traverse is saying we represent many investors in Project 79, Hydro Whales, Burl Corps, Ocean Money, GSP, which is gold staking program, and Sahara Star Mining. These investors have spent many months trying to obtain critical information from these projects to understand the circumstances surrounding the alleged misappropriation of funds, clarify the relationships between the various founders and associated projects, basically saying, like, who's involved in what, right? Because everybody thought Sam was involved in, Burl Corps, and then Sam comes out and he's like, oh, I've never had anything to do with it, right? So anyways, that's blah, 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 right? This is who they're trying to find information on. For Project 79, Sam Pittman, Adam Javed, Anderson Arokium, Adam Dignan, Alexandru. That's a wild name. His first name is exactly as his last name. Alexandru. It's like my name is like Drew Andrew. Dylan Hatton. And then Hydro Whale, Sam Pittman, Adam Dignan, same usual suspects, that Anderson dude, Adam number 2. And then we've got Burl Corps Mining, Phil David Burley, and Jack Joseph Burley. I feel like this is probably his son. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but obviously I would assume that it's somebody related to him. Ocean Money is Dignan, Anderson, Sam, Adam number 2, Sack, Siddhitan, Roshi Sharma, and then Gavin McDonald for Sahara Star, and then GSP is Adam Dignan and some company called South American Gold Firms. They're saying that this typical indicators of a slow rug pull include these types of things: repeated and unfulfilled promises, check; superficial engagement with investors while avoiding substantive communication or action, check; blame shifting among project founders or scapegoating specific individuals to deflect accountability. You mean like a YouTuber that got 300 views on their video saying that person messed up your private investors? Check. Lack of transparency in financial operations and fund management? Check. Sudden disappearances or unavailability of key project or leaders? Checkity check, check, check. Right? Okay, so here's my point. All right. So I think we all kind of can assume, what's probably happened here, or what they're trying to figure out, right? All these lawyers or whatever, right? They're trying to figure out what the hell happened, right? Like what happened to all the money, stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? And yeah. So here's my point. You know what stops all this from happening, guys? Burl Corps, Project 79, Hydro Whales, the whole ecosystem community. Audits. Financial audits, like audited financials, man. Wild, man. So yeah, like get financial audits and no one can say that you misappropriated anything. No one can say that you commingled funds. But if you did that, I would see why you didn't get a financial audit. For example, Wolfer Finance has audited financials for every year it's been in existence, right? Also has every transaction saved, basically through those financial audits, right? And those financial audits were publicly available on the Acamona page because we had to get audited financials by a certified American auditor, right? A third party that wasn't our accountants, right? And we had to do that whenever we launched the crowdfund, right? Guess what? Pre-Send had to do it too. It had audited financials. It has audited financials, right? File your tax returns, man. Get some accountants. That's what would stop all of these allegations from happening, right? It wouldn't stop the allegations of you suck, or you don't communicate well or whatever. It wouldn't stop those allegations. Totally get that. But at least it would stop like the fraud allegations and stop, legal people, lawyers and stuff from investigating you, saying like, oh, we think these guys stole money or misappropriated funds or, whatever financial crimes it is that they're pursuing you for, right? That's not good. You have American investors. It doesn't matter where you're based. You could be based on Jupiter, man. If you've taken money from Americans, that's their jurisdiction, right? You are under their jurisdiction by taking money from Americans. There's a reason why all of these decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges outside of the United States block and geofence and gate America from using their platform. And it's because they actually have good lawyers and they understand what I just stated, which is that if you are allowing U.S. citizens to access your website, to bring their money into your platform, to invest in your platform, to use your platform, that you are under the jurisdiction of those people's country, right? Which is not the jurisdiction you want to be under if you're not abiding by their laws, right? So unfortunately, they are under the United States-based jurisdiction because they have U.S. investors. Wolfer Finance is a U.S.-based company, for God's sakes. I'm a U.S.-based person. I know probably half of the people in the Burl Core Discord and the Wolfer Discords are probably U.S. citizens. A lot of them. Maybe not 50%. We don't know that for a fact, but I'm saying you guaranteed. I know for a fact that you have U.S. investors because I'm one of them, right? So it's like, yo, you stop these things from happening by just having an audited financial. So Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one, right? I think, for us, I don't think it's going to be bad. I think for other people, it might not necessarily be the best year that they've ever seen. Happy New Year, my fellow Wolfers. I'm here. No pizza today. Sad, but I'll survive. We're getting pizza, baby. We need to start sending Richard for like Uber Eats pizzas to the hospital whenever he's working. Friday Pie Day, Jeremiah Keeter, much love to you. Gianni, my Italian brother from another mother. If there's one person I can count to have a Friday Pie Day, it's going to be Gianni. Burl Core has already raised another $100,000. Well, none of it came from Wolfer. Not Wolfer or Wolfer, right? None of it's coming from there. We'll see how it plays out. I really do hope they pull it off. But, in any case, right? This is why you only put a certain percentage of your portfolio or whatever your capital is into tiny speculative things like that, right? Mine ownership, okay? Does it work? Maybe. Does it not work? Yeah, it could. It could not work too. In the same sense that, yeah, they maybe pull it off. There's a higher likelihood that with very little capital, they won't pull it off, right? So like, you ever heard what they say, like about catching a falling knife, right? There's like this analogy, okay, where there's this guy that he's got a snake wrapped around his hand, right? Okay. And the snake is squeezing his hand, okay? Eventually, he's going to lose the hand anyway, right? Probably. But the snake could also bite him and venomize him, right? And then he could just die, right? So what do you do if you can't get the snake off? You cut the hand off, man, before the rest of the body dies because it gets bit by the snake, right? Gets rid of the snake, gets rid of the threat, right? So sometimes you got to chop that limb off, right? Or here's a second analogy. There's a guy that's holding a big rock and he's got it wrapped around his hand and he's holding it over a cliff. Eventually, he's going to get tired and that rock is going to drag him over the cliff. It's a really great rock. It's worth $500,000 and he loves the rock, right? But does he love his life more than he loves the $500,000 rock? Then he has to drop the rock or he has to fall with the rock eventually. One of two, right? Because he can't get it up. He can't get the rock up. Okay. So that's kind of my point. Like catching a falling knife is not necessarily the best avenue sometimes. So just think about those things. Yeah, but the raise.burrowcore website said like 19K. That's, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's probably better. Do they have a website? Let's see. Raise.burrowcore.com. Let's see if they have it. Right. I don't see it. They probably have it in the Discord. I don't care enough to look. So yeah, that's kind of my point. In terms of Wolfer, our trajectory is defined. Okay. Our moving forward is absolutely defined. We know what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to continue to sit here and do what we do, which is validate and masternode, right? Flux, Avalanche, Ethereum. Once Sonic gets up and running, because they had a good launch. Okay. FTM converted from, they rebranded from FTM Phantom Opera Chain to Sonic, right? Here's the thing about that. They didn't have the best rebrand where like it was super smooth, because they're still, the centralized exchanges aren't even going to start listing S and converting to Sonic's like new token and phasing out FTM. They're not converting to S until like weeks into January, right? So had that been the case, that they already had the centralized exchanges lined up and everything went smooth and super awesome, we probably wouldn't have seen like a 60% drop on FTM, which was wild. We went from like $1.50 to like 60 cents, dude. It sucked, right? This was a massive drop. But once S comes back and once we start validating on that chain, that'll be great. But once S kind of starts to catch its run here later on this month, most likely, once all the centralized exchanges and all of the decentralized exchanges have it like sorted out to where people can buy and sell S and it's no longer FTM, and it makes it easier and more seamless, because right now people are confused. They're like, do I keep my FTM? Is it going to be worthless? So that's why you're seeing people sell it, right? Because they don't know, like, yo, go and convert it to S on the bridge, right? Onto a new blockchain. Plus, it's very complicated. It's not super complicated if you know what you're doing, but I'm saying like retail people, just regular Joes, average Joe Schmoes, might not necessarily know how to go and bridge their FTM from FTM chain to S on Sonic chain, right? Which is frustrating. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of selling on FTM. In any case, now what we're doing, we're going to wait like we have been patiently, and we're going to liquidate at advantageous prices. Once we see it get a little toppy, and then we're going to take said funds and we're going to distribute returns to investors, right? And we're going to take those funds and put them into something that generates us long-term income while we wait for the bear market bottom to come back in a year, 2 years, however long it takes. And then we can buy that back up and start validating and masternoding again. It's a very simple model, and it's not complex at all. And we leave money on the sideline. We don't put everything in all at the same time. We go out, if we got, $2 million sitting on the sidelines after we paid out, all the returns and stuff like that. You don't put $2 million into real estate. Maybe you put $1 million, right? And you get $5 million worth of real estate because you put 20% down on it, right? Go out and you buy some land. Maybe you buy an apartment complex. Maybe you buy all these. You see where I'm going with it, right? You buy these things, right? Maybe you get storage units and you turn them into like 7 different businesses. I've got a hell of a plan on storage units if people happen to give a F, where you can maximize. I'll do it myself personally if I have to, but where you can really, really maximize your returns on investment in terms of owning storage unit facilities, okay? Because you can have like 7 businesses inside of there. And if you're smart enough to understand where I'm going with it, you know what time it is. And then you leave like the other $1 million on the sideline for other opportunities, and you take said returns and you pay half of them out, right? You pay half of them out and you leave half of them in a war chest. And then when the bear market bottom comes in, guess what you do? You go out and you buy your on-chain real estate again. Boom. and you cycle it all back over, and then you have a 10, 20-year long company, even further than that, right? That I can pass down and train my kids to do, that you can pass down your tokens down to your shares in the company to your kids, right? So, I mean, for our trajectory, we know exactly what we're doing, and it's very it's abundantly clear. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the subsequent coming weeks, the succeeding weeks to come, because it's not necessarily super pertinent right at this time. I don't think we're going to see a massive uptrend or bull run until Trump gets in. Okay, we might see a fade even to within the first month that he's in. To be honest with you, I still think 80K is in play. We have bounced very well. I will say this: we have bounced very well at the 91 to 92K range. That's great for us. We're going to have huge resistance at 100K. We're going to have huge resistance at 107K. And then we're going to hit another massive resistance, which is that massive trend channel that's been established since 2017 at 109 to 110K. If we can break out of that channel, we're going to 130. That's the cup and handle measurement. That's the Fibonacci measurements. That's that 120 to 130. It's going to be great. Then the altcoins can catch their stride and they can get where they're going, which is exactly what we want because we like ETH, AVAX, FTM, which is now Sonic, S token, Flux. We want to see those do well. We already know what our plan is to get in and out of those, right? We already know what our plan is moving forward after that. And then we know what our plan is to get back into them at a later date and continue on our trajectory. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Hopefully that's good news for everybody. I will see you hopefully in like 54 minutes or something like that on the other stream. I will only have 45 minutes or so on that stream. So we're going to bang through that analysis, and I'm going to show you a trade that I'm potentially in now, a long trade. I believe I am in that. I am in a long trade. It's probably profitable at this point, and I'll show you why I entered. So with all of that said, if you're here from the future, hello from the past. We appreciate you so much. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you hit subscribe because we're dropping bombs, baby. Boom! Bang on the notification bell. Comment anything that you want in the relevant sections. I appreciate it. Everybody have a beautiful #Friday Pie Day with your beautiful families and have a wonderful weekend. I will see you in the next stream. Actually, the next stream's in like 54 minutes, but I'll definitely see you in every stream all the way up to the stream on Friday for the Wolfers, especially. Peace.